Happy Monday, everyone. This is Melanie with Thriving in the Fishbowl, and it took me a little while to get to this video tonight because I've had an insanely busy day, but I thought it was a great time to talk about sleep when we are all about ready to go to sleep. So if you missed it on Saturday, my new series is going to be based off of this book I'm reading called Sleep Smarter, and it's by Sean Stevenson. And basically, I'm not going to tell you how many hours you should sleep, though I will either tomorrow or the next day give you some guidelines on how long you need to sleep, the number of rhythms you need to get, but I am going to tell you how to sleep smarter. And so the first two things I want to talk to you, or I'm going to give you two tonight for the first time. Okay, so first of all, did you know that a great night's sleep, we're all fixing to have hopefully a wonderful night's sleep, it began the first thing we woke up this morning, because our body, and actually every living thing, has this thing called a circadian rhythm, a circadian timing system. All right, and basically that's a 24-hour clock that is built into us because God gave that to us. It's pretty cool. And this system, along with some some hormones that are scheduled to release the way our bodies work, it controls our digestion, our immune system, our blood pressure, the way our body uses fat, our appetite, our mental energy, and the list goes on and on. And so this system is regulated, and I had to write this down because it was big words. This system is regulated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a small group of nerve cells found in the hypothalamus in your brain. It's considered to be the master gland of your body's hormonal system. So what's that mean? It means that our bodies are synchronized to the rising and the setting of the sun. Most of your body's systems are calibrated to the appearance and disappearance of light. So that's why I say that your sleeping has to do with how much sunlight you get. And I had never thought of this before, especially those of us that live in Michigan, because the winter months we get very, very little sunlight, and most of it's like cloudy sunlight. All right. And so circadian, that system, the word comes from Latin. Circa is diem, and circa diem, and it means approximately a day. And so like I said, every living system has a circadian system in them, and it affects your eating, it affects your sleeping, it affects your mating, everything. And disruptions in this have been scientifically linked to diabetes, obesity, depression, and dementia. So I tell you all the scientific stuff that, I really don't understand. But what can we do about it? Number one, we have to be intentional in getting sunlight. And our body really needs some sunlight, not like a ton, just 15 to 30 minutes, sometime between 6:30 in the morning and 8 o'clock. Now, this depends on the time zone you're in, all right? Because your sun may not, like in Michigan right now, we're not getting the sunrise till 7:30 right now. So for us, it would be like 7:30 to, 9:30. We just need some sunlight in the morning, okay? And then also during the day, if you there's actually been studies done of people who work in offices with no windows and people who work in offices with windows, and the people who worked in offices with windows actually slept better because they were getting that natural sunlight. Now, obviously there are like the cautions with not getting too much sun and stuff, but I don't think you're going to do that in a building, okay? But so number one tip is get some sunlight during the day, especially in the morning, because it sets off your rhythms. And there is an entire chapter in this book about the scientific side of that. And if you want to Google it, you can Google that list, that circadian timing system, and you can read all about it to your heart's content. So tip number one, get some sunlight. Tip number two is a lot harder for all of us, especially because we're actually doing what it says not to do right now. It says to avoid screen time before bedtime. And they actually say to avoid screen time for 90 minutes before bed. And they actually did a survey, and people were like, what are we supposed to do? And one lady raised her hand and she said, should we read a book or talk to somebody? Because that's the world we live in. We just sit there and we scroll, through Facebook or whatever. And our body produces what's called dopamine. And it was first thought that dopamine makes you feel enjoyment and pleasure, which motivates you to seek out things. We've probably, if you remember, you've probably heard about it in science class with drugs and stuff. It would make you seek out food, sex, or drugs. But scientists recently discovered that the dopamine is not about pleasure at all. The pleasure is an end result we we receive from the opioid system. And so I had to write this one down too. Dopamine is a brain chemical that's all about seeking. It's about the hunt. It's about finding out what's coming up next. And the internet, like Facebook, is the perfect trap for a brain who loves that slow dip of dopamine. And so what it is, it's like you get the notification on your phone and you're like, oh my goodness, who liked my video? Who commented on my picture? And that is triggering a slow little almost like an IV in your brain, and it keeps you saying, I need more, I need more, I need more. And what happens though is that your brain cannot go to sleep because it's thinking, oh wow, you know what? I just posted that picture of Ariel. I wonder if anybody commented on it. When she's crying, I'm going to get up and just check my phone real quick. And a lot of us nursing moms in the middle of the night, you take that time to check your phone. But what's happening is it's setting your brain up to almost like what drugs do. It just lights your brain up, and your brain wants more and more. So how do we solve this? Number one, you can be off screens before bedtime. I think that 90 minutes is unrealistic for the world we live in. So I read something today, 30 minutes. Try to be off screens for 30 minutes. Read a book. You actually, like I have a tablet, so I'm still on screens, but there is actually apps you get that block the blue light, which is what is kind of bad for your brain when you're for you getting to sleep. And so you can actually block the blue light, like my Kindle has, where I can turn it black. Also, do some alternative things before bed. Like Dana and I have been reading books before bed instead of, spending our time just, him scrolling on the internet and me playing on Facebook. Also, this is a huge thing I did about a year ago. I turned off all the notifications on my phone. Okay. So I know it sounds scandalous, but I no longer get Facebook notifications on my phone. It's been one of the most liberating things I've ever done. It sounds stupid just saying it to you all, but you don't realize how tied you do get to social media, and it overtakes your life. And then finally, I said get the blue light blocker. If you're going to be on the electronics before bedtime, there's an app, and I can give you the link to it, there's actually several that block the blue light, and that way it slows your brain down. But the biggest thing is, if you want to sleep well, you're going to have to give your brain time to shut down, okay? And so that means being off of screens right before you go to bed, whether it's for 30 minutes or whether it's for 90 minutes. But you have to disconnect and let that brain, get off of that dopamine, because that's what's happening is we're just being triggered and then we start thinking about that stuff and we can't sleep. So the 2 tips for tonight are, and actually tomorrow's are a lot funner, these are kind of the boring ones, are get some sunlight tomorrow and get off of screens at least 30 minutes before you go to sleep. All right. And then tomorrow we have some really fun tips. So hopefully you'll tune in, and thanks for watching. And if you have any questions that you are interested in from this book, let me know and I'll try to address them in the series. Basically, it's called Sleep Smarter, and it's 21 essential strategies to sleep your way to a better body, better health, and better success. So hopefully you will enjoy this series this week. Thanks for watching. Bye.